What's up, YouTube? Episode
48.
48. Do you know what? Oh, 48.
I know what that means.
Yes.
48.
I did take Spanish in high
Your
school.
husband
That's about
teaches
as far
Spanish.
as I got.
Episode 48. Last episode with Start With Why.
Yeah.
It's a good book.
Wrapping it up.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get it all through.
I need to make sure I give Jaden a shout out.
Did you get your book back?
I had to order a new one.
Oh.
This is the old new book.
Are we going to do that one?
No.
Okay.
But it's a good book. I was just going to tell people to make sure they purchase it if they are leaning on empty.
Stop burping.
This is about whether or not you are in ministry or not. I think it's still a great book for leaders who are leaning on empty or feel like they're leaning on empty. Today, Mark Avalos from Slab was giving me a ride home, and he said, "Are you leaning on empty, man? Is that why you got the book?" I said, "No, I pulled over on the side of the road already. I'm out of gas.
Running on fumes.
Yep. You all right, babe? All right.
I'm alright. Dave's here.
Dave is here.
Are you ready? I'm just. I think that.
Are you ready?
I over caffeinated. Is that an issue? Is that a?
It's a thing.
Man.
It is a thing.
Are y'all ready?
Yes. Are you ready?
It's like.
You got to stop.
No, I know. Hold on. No,
This is making me nauseous.
It's like in my throat. So check. All right, here we go. Check.
Check.
You ready?
Check. I'm good. I'm ready.
You're
Are you
checking.
ready? I'm checking.
You have
Chicken.
there's
Toast.
there is no
Toast.
there,
and
toast.
jelly.
Toast. There is a note in there where I need you to read a paragraph.
Okay.
The very last one for sure, but
Okay.
I think I say another one.
I'll figure it out.
3. Why don't you do the welcome? Just kidding.
No, you do it. It's your thing. It's your
Where's my notes?
podcast.
Where's
I'm
my
just a
notes?
squirrel.
What's up, everybody? It's Mario with the Made for More Consulted podcast.
Just a squirrel, whatever, dude.
Man, ready?
Ask me if I'm ready.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Made for More Consulting podcast. We are on episode 48, 2 away from 50, and we are ending our Start With Why book. It's 2 sections that we're going to cover tonight. It's been a great book. Make sure you go out and buy it. Adina, welcome back.
I'm glad to be here.
Tiana is
Hey.
here, and my wife is behind that camera.
Babe.
Yeah. Is anybody else there? No. Start With Why tonight, man. We get to wrap this book up, and yeah, it was a good last section.
This is a really good book. I feel like we say that about every single book, every single week, but this is a really good book.
I think lots of people can learn from it. What I've noticed is that every time he wants to teach you a principle, he starts with a story about Microsoft or Apple or Walmart or Continental or Southwest.
Whatever it is. Well, and I think that the thing about this book is that just about the time I thought okay, what else could you possibly say about this?
Yep.
He would introduce a new topic or idea around it. So
Yeah.
I definitely feel like, especially these last 2 sections, I honestly was kind of wondering what else could he possibly say about starting with why.
Yeah. And it's good
It was really good.
And everybody can relate to it, which is one of my favorite things. Is whether you're in starting a small business, a big corporation, or just in your own personal life. So
Well, even for both of these sections, even if you just work for an organization, it really helps with knowing, recognizing what's happening whenever things are getting fuzzy or things are splitting.
yeah.
And you don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, and what to ask or what to look for ahead of time, and maybe approaching a leader or a boss or an owner to go, hey, have you thought about this? Because this is what I'm reading, and it might help us out.
Well, and we can talk about this a little bit as we go, but I even saw several situations this week where it wasn't even about the main part of the organization. It was one thing that it was a problem and somebody was trying to give a solution, but they got so focused on the solution that they forgot the why behind the problem. And we kept going back to, but you're not solving the problem.
So you're just putting a remedy or a band-aid, right?
Right. And when it's for people that you're leading or people that you that work with you, it's very frustrating because then you can still say yes to that or no to that, but you're still not solving the real issue.
Yeah, you're right.
So there was a lot in this.
It's good. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Just remember, we're not going to read the entire book. We didn't read the entire book. If this is your first time listening for this book, I believe it's four episodes in. So you'd want to go back out and listen from 44 on, episode 44 and on. It's Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Go buy the book. We're not going to read the entire thing. And then if this is also your first time listening,
Just always go back and listen to episode 1 and 27.
Tells you a little bit about who we are for Made for More. So and I think this last section challenged me as well to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing with Made for More. So
yeah, let's go.
Section 5, the biggest challenge is success, is what he says. And so chapter 11, when why goes fuzzy. So what he's talking about is when the purpose, when your reason for doing everything goes fuzzy, blurry, whatever. He talks a lot about Sam Walton, who invented Walmart. This guy has said, hard work will bring success. And so Sam Walton created Walmart. It started just going crazy. People followed him for why he did what he was doing. Really wasn't about the what or the how. And Sam Walton, again, began to just change the industry with Walmart. Target and Kmart, I didn't know Target was around that long.
Yeah, they opened like the same time.
Yeah, so Target and Kmart were along those same lines, but Walmart was just dominating. And then something happened was the why was lost when it was passed down when he passed away. Because his son took it over and he had a press conference and said, hey, don't worry, nothing's going to change with the company. Within 3 months, or I can't even remember how many months, they said there were so many lawsuits. His son was making more money than anyone had ever made. And it's been a struggle since because the why has changed or it's not been remembered. And so he goes back and he talks about if the why in your company, organization, or life goes fuzzy, then you're going to be so frustrated and things are not going to go the way things should. And this is a quote he says, if it's not clear on the inside, it will never be clear on the outside. And he's talking about the why, meaning so internally for a person, I would think, like if you're not living out your why, then you're gonna be frustrated on the outside. As a company, your employees don't understand why. Your customers are gonna go, I have no idea why. What are they about? Why do they do what they do?
I think so many times we undervalue the why in a company because I can't imagine. I don't know how many years ago Sam Walton's son took over, but I feel like it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And at that time, the why was not like we didn't have this leadership stuff. We didn't have all of this knowledge, and so he didn't see that. I bet you what one of the things that Simon Sinek talks about is that why comes from your passion.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's really difficult for it to translate, is because Sam Walton had a passion to serve people.
And that's what it was, right? Because he was a kid growing up saying, I want to serve people. It's not about making money.
It was all about that.
Yeah, because it said he drove his truck, and they were like, well, don't you want this luxury car? He goes, well, how am I going to fit my dogs in the truck?
Yes,
no.
yeah.
And why do I have a private jet? Not all my people can fit on there. So he started talking about those things, and he's a regular dude doing regular things, and he did not want to change. But the minute his son took over,
because his son was focused on building the business.
Yep.
Not on the why. So he was focused on the how and the what, which is probably, making money.
Yeah.
And that's what did it. That's what just ran it into the ground. And then they spent years and years and years trying to get out of that hole and clearing it back up.
Yeah.
It sounds like then they changed their why a little bit, which came into more of like the value and
and I think you were just saying something about they went away from their why. It changed
because it comes with passion.
Yeah, that's right. So I think the thing that just blew my mind in these next couple of chapters is that you can be successful but still be so far away from your why.
Yes.
I mean, how many lawsuits got filed against Walmart, and they were making billions of dollars, but they were still tanking on the values and on who they were and what they did because the why was out of balance. I just asked the question, why do you think we forget the why? Why is the why never made clear? So I think, like you said, one was money. We get so blinded by money.
Right. Well, and
Success.
we're going to talk about it in just a few minutes, but I think that sometimes with the why, we forget the why because we start focusing on the achievement aspect, which
Mhm.
is like the things that you can see.
Yeah.
That's how you start to rate what you're doing. We're making
Yep.
money, we're doing this, we're doing that. And then it's harder to put the why into a tangible like checklist.
Yeah.
Which there was an example of that. I know you read it, but where she opened up a collection agency. And I thought that was so good. That was such a good example.
Because her value was helping people
Yes.
without debt. But when they would get on a phone, they had a checklist of be mean to them, degrade these people, and collect their money. And she goes, "That's not who I am.
Right, I'm
so
not
I'm going to
doing
start
that.
my own collection company of figuring out what's going on. And ask a list
Do
of
they
questions.
have the means to actually pay this?
And hey, what's going on in your life? Like,
Yes.
do you have an illness that you had to go to the hospital? So they're getting to know the customer, and the customer is someone who's in debt.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, she starts this huge organization that helps people get out of.
Yes,
It's a
and
debt
they
collection.
talked about how it was like they collected like 3 times more money than like your average like
Yep.
collection agency, and it was
Yeah.
all of these things. And her employees didn't get rated on how much money they collected; they got
Exactly.
rated on how
Thank
many
you notes.
thank you cards they wrote.
Yep, and by the way, I'll stop right there and
Mm-hmm.
say if you have not listened to the lowdown from last week, it is about thank you notes and about thank you cards. So that's awesome, dude.
I feel like we jumped way ahead because I feel like that's way up there.
So
but
he's talking about being successful versus feeling successful. That's very interesting as well because the why was blurry as the what and how became easier to focus on. So if
Right.
you and I are making all this money
the
and
systems.
we're doing all these webinars or we're at these conferences and we're making all this money, but we forget the why, you're successful and you
Right.
feel you're being successful, but you're feeling like, man, I'm depressed, I'm run down, I'm worn out. You're not. You're separating yourself from the why because the why is what keeps you fueled up. I think the passion.
For sure. And I think what you get so focused on the process and the system and what you're accomplishing, and you forget about the why.
And I think that most companies, I don't know how many companies he said go out of business in the first 3 years.
Oh yeah, it's
And I
like
kept thinking,
90% or
this
something
sucks.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I keep thinking about
Saw that.
us and saying we have to stay focused on the why regardless of what we do. So next, he talks about achievement versus success. So they're not the same thing. Achievement is something you reach or attain, like a goal. So hey, I want to lose weight, or hey, I want to make 500 grand this year. And he says success is a feeling, and I think that's again vital. That you and I may not make all the money in the world, but it's success when we go, man, I'm helping people. There's a guy today. I went with a buddy of mine, and we sat down and we were talking, and a guy came up, and he was a bartender, and he just said, "Hey man, I like y'all's. I like it was with Slab, and he goes, I like the hat, and I like what you guys do over there." I said, "Cool." He goes, "Man, I just moved here. I've been in the business for 30 years." He said, I've opened over 30 stores for a certain organization all over the country. I'm a bartender," and he goes, "But now I live in these apartments right here with my kids." And now I just bartend, make enough money just to get by. He goes, "I may be broke," and he goes, "But I also paint." And I said, "Man, that's awesome." He goes, "Yeah, I might be broke," but he goes, I'm successful. And he goes, "I'm living the dream."
Nice.
And I'm like, okay, he feels successful and he is successful, and it's not about all the money because he had all that, but now he has his family and he's doing what he's passionate about. So achievement is when you pursue and attain the what, and success when you're in clear pursuit of the why, and you want that. It comes down. He says it comes when we wake up every day in that never-ending pursuit of why we do what we do. So he says you need both, but I think one of the things that we need to ask ourselves is: are we being successful, or are we feeling successful? Because if you feel successful, that's going to go away. You have to be successful, which is it's about people. It's about your why. Last thing that I wrote down was achieving more does not ever go away. So you and I, and we've always said this, is the job is going to be there tomorrow. It's always going to be there. Achieving more does not go away. You're always going to, I think that's why Super Bowl winners go, "Hey, I want to try to go again and win again." That's why some people keep going and are never happy or satisfied. They get blinded by the what and the how. And you said that earlier, the systems, the processes, the goals
That's what you
achieved.
start to focus on, and that's what you start to make better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then that's when the blur or the
That's when it
fuzziness
happens.
happens with the why. So
Yep.
yeah, and it all comes from success. I cannot say success tonight. So the biggest challenge is success. That was chapter 11 when the why goes fuzzy, and then chapter 12. It was a lengthy chapter.
It was, but it was a lot of the stories. Like
And
he
that
told
was
a
cool.
lot
Yeah,
of
yeah,
story,
yeah,
a story about. It was almost like he gave an example of the split for every single company.
And today I talked about the split because chapter 12 is split happens, and the ideas are the start of big companies or massive companies. So he's talking about ideas. You and I have these ideas, and they start there. These companies start with an idea, a small idea. It all starts with that small idea or this small thought, and that's your why. You're going, this is what I want to do. But the bigger the company gets, just like Walmart, he says that if you're on a parallel street and you're going up and to the right, that your why, if it takes a split and it just starts flatlining and your success goes up, you're separating the why, and you can be successful or you can stay with why. So he said the goal is to try to keep those two the same. And so today I was asked the question, so how do you go from 3 stores to 20? How do you trust those people to do what you got to do? And in the end, it's tough to say this, but you have to sell the why to more people that you're hiring or that you're building within. And I think this goes back to all those things. If anyone ever wants to talk about this, I think you hire from within. And if you have enough training and you're developing enough people in your company, those people are always going to be there. So you're starting new locations with people that are in the company that believe the why, that know the why. And so they're selling it to new people in other locations. So you're successful and you're hiring from within, and the why is always staying the same.
I think you also have to set your metrics based on your why, not just on your how and your what. And especially in any kind of retail or any kind of business where there's profit. So often that's what our success or achievement is based on. Oh, this store's doing really well. They're making this much money. Well, you know what? That's good.
Yeah.
But not if your why starts to flatline, because you're not gonna, it's not going to continue.
Yeah, and I think Etiana listened to a podcast about social media and marketing from the Ramsey group, the Dave Ramsey group, and they talked about success being. It's funny because they're going, I don't want you to have 1,000 followers. I want you to have 250 and have 75 to 100 engaged followers, because they believe in you. Now, if you want all the followers, then good luck. You can buy that. You can easily buy that, but that's not success. It's being engaged with people. And it's the same thing with us. And what we do is, I don't know what's going to happen with Made for More, but if it's changing lives, shoot, that's what I want. That's success. But it may mean, like this guy said today, he's paycheck to paycheck. Well, is that what we all want? I mean, no, but you can save and you can do what Ramsey does.
I know what would be any different. No.
Right? So he says, when we have these ideas, they catch our inspiration. Ideas catch our inspiration and our passion, but neither one of those can help a business succeed alone. So inspiration and passion can't. Why without the how is passion without structure. We need both. For structure to grow, you need passion. And this is where he was talking about you can have the next person in line that's passionate and without inspiration. I was wondering if that's where he talked about the lady that.
It might have been how they hired a secretary.
Yeah, because she knew the why. And she she knew exactly what was going on. And we're going to talk about it.
And I think how smart is that? Like, that is like that thing, the idea of that your only job as a leader is to keep the why. It's not to figure out the how, it's not to do the what, it is to keep the why. If you are the true leader of the organization, that is your main goal.
Yeah.
Because the other people, everybody else, the why people, I mean the how people and the what people, they are going to focus on that and they are going to do a great job.
Yep.
But your job is to hold on to the why.
Yeah, and you got to allow, but when you do that, when people do what you're saying, you're not micromanaging, you're investing in other people, you're letting them buy into the process and the organization.
Well, but imagine if I just said, you know what, my whole job is to hold on to the why. You guys are the how people. That's it. You go figure out the how. You make that the best that you can be. I don't need to have a part of that.
Yeah, you're right. So, how people can grow something, but at some point it stops. I don't even know where I wrote down.
Yeah, because they forget the why.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
But you have to have both, and this is where he also talks about like he goes back to the golden circle, which he had talked about in one of the
Yeah, the very first
first chapters. How it has to be you have to have the why in the center, you have to have the how, and you have to have the what.
Mhm.
You have to have all of them.
There has to be a balance.
Has
Remember,
to be a balance, and he talks about that again.
Yep, and then so the greatest, again, challenge to success. The greatest challenge to anything is success. The greatest challenge to Made for More is going to be success. The greatest
Right.
challenge to Slab.
Because
To
once you have
all these
success, that's all you focus on.
Yep.
You start. I think your success is when you start to focus on the how.
Yeah, like you said, or the what. Like, hey, what
Or
do
the
we
what,
achieve?
yeah.
These trophies, whatever. No, it's not about that. You got to stay in the fundamentals and what really matters.
Yes, and I love one of the things that you wrote that I love. It says the success of one company, the success of a company will tank if one person is making the calls or the decisions or creating all of the systems.
Yep.
And that's because I'm going to say typically it doesn't happen. You don't have a why, a how, and a what leader.
No. If you do, it's a micromanager.
Well, and
Who
I'm like,
thinks they have
but
all the-
right, and I
the-
don't
the
think that
roles.
one leader can truly be good at all of the things.
You'll be juggling. Well, okay, so, but if they are, you have one location, then that's it. You're not going to
Right.
ever go to two. You're never going to.
But I still think if you have, if one person, if you can find that team of people or that person that all they're going to do is focus on the how, even just the time
Yep.
alone,
Mhm.
it's going to be more successful.
Agreed. Maybe it's an online selling. Maybe I sell stuff from my house. I'm the why, the what, and the
Yeah,
how.
whatever.
But that's it.
You
You're not
can-
going to go where you, I mean, again,
But if that, yes,
yeah, I totally get it.
scratch the wall.
I totally get what you're saying though. So as a company grows, results happen, success happens, your why must it has to be as loud as ever, right? So your why has to be the same, on the same road and in the same car. So I'm thinking if their success is a road and you're in the driver's seat, man, the why has to be in the driver's seat is what I meant.
Yes.
Not the how or the what. The why has to be the driver. So most people, they think statistics are gold when they accomplish what they do, and it's not about what you do. It's not how you do it. It's about the why. I guess this is when I was walking, making sense.
Yes, I'm going to say back to if you want to keep your why in front of you, then your metrics have to be focused on your why.
Mm-hmm.
It just does.
And it might mean that it's not about the money. It's not about the people or what is it called? Your conversion rate.
Like
It's
imagine Walmart. Like when he first started Walmart, it was we were going to serve these people. We're going to give to these people.
Yeah.
I'm imagining that that's what he opened up his meetings with. When somebody came to him with an idea, he had that filter. And I wondered, I was trying to see when this book was written because I feel like Chick-fil-A has done a really good job of holding on to their why.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like they are, and he doesn't ever talk about them. And I just wondered if it was, I don't know.
Yeah, I wondered because
Yeah,
this is
'cause
probably about 4 or 5 years
Yeah,
old.
well, it just may not be whatever in his area, but
Yeah.
I definitely feel like that is one organization that you can see that how good they've held on to their why.
Yeah, and I think that COVID just
Mhm.
has taken out the people that didn't understand a why
Mhm.
because you can't stay open if your people don't know your why. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is where I think if you're a leader, if you're not a leader, I think if you're a leader of a company, a manager, an owner, I would say do this test real quick, the school bus test.
Yeah.
If you were hit by a bus today, would the person in line next change your why? Excuse me. Or would we keep going?
Mm-hmm.
And this happened to Walmart. Again, his
Right.
son took over and he was so disconnected from the why that he thought his why was success, money, and Walmart tanked. So many companies, he said, Bill Gates walked away from Microsoft and it changed.
Yes.
And then they had to bring him back because it was tanking.
Mm-hmm.
But as a leader, I think you have to, or even an owner, you have to invest in the people more than you invest in, I guess, in other things. But it's what you were saying is your only role is to carry the why. And when you carry the why, that means spending time with the next in line,
Mm-hmm.
every single team to where you go, I trust this person to take it over.
Well, making sure that the how and the what go through the filter of, are we serving people? Are we whatever your why is?
Mhm. Yeah, because when the split happens, meaning when the why splits from success and you got hit by a bus, then your company I don't think will make it. So you talk a lot about value is what I wrote down. You talk a lot about value. We have a value test or a value
I like a value.
what do we call it? Like a value exercise that we're gonna do next year.
Yep.
So listen to what he says here. Will you read that?
It says value is a feeling, not a calculation. It's a perception. One could argue that a product with more bells and whistles that sells for less is the greater value, but by whose standard?
So he's talking about value as I mean, again, you can take this either way, but some people say, okay, this product has this car has all these things, and it's selling for less. Less is greater to me. But again, who's to me it's up to the buyer or the person that's going to invest in the why to go, that's valuable to me. So if you're saying, hey, look at how much we're selling, look at where our stock's going, some people are going to go, oh, I need to buy in on that. Well, you might want to look at their why and figure out how close they are to, because if they're not, it may tank soon.
For sure.
And then you're screwed because you bought into what looked like success and not what was success, and it's a feeling.
Right.
And I highlighted this in blue and I said, this may be worth the entire book. So are you ready? Here we go. You want me to read it or you read it?
When people can point to a company and clearly articulate what the company believes and use the words unrelated to price, quality, service, and features, that is proof the company has successfully navigated the split. When people describe the value they perceive with visceral, excited words like love, that is a sure sign that a clear sense of why exists.
So when someone walks in, mic drop. When someone walks in and says, that's the why. Not, hey, they sell barbecue, or hey, he's an electrician. No, this person cares about what he does so much. Look at what he did. Look at what she does. Look at what this company's all about. It's those feelings, not, oh, you know what, they give the best. They have the best sales. They do the BOGOs. No, it's not about that.
I think about HEB. That people, they say, I love HEB. Like, it's not like HEB is my grocery store. I love HEB. I get my whatever from the HEB, my grapes. It is the love. They have captured that like feeling, you know. And
HEB, even if you follow the thread, you realize that they are invested in people's farms and they bring it from Texas or to the table, right?
Yes.
And that's why I go for Made for More. I want people, as soon as they see the logo, to go, oh, that's motivate, inspire, encourage. They are about motivating, inspiring, encouraging people. So when we don't have a bus test person or plan, meaning the next person in line, people leave, people get confused, sales stop, and when sales stop, the company goes away. So you have to make sure you're selling the why, make sure your team understands, and you may want to have somebody next in line and go, hey, this is why we do what we do, because in the end, your company's going to go away. And if that's all you wanted, it was a company that people knew about for a little bit, then maybe that was success to you.
Yeah.
The leader or leaders have to embody the why, but you have to pass it along. You can't just carry the why alone. You need to inspire. Again, he says they have to pick up the same banner and run. And I love what he said. Succession is not replacement. It is not replacement. It's an inspiration. So
that's good.
Yeah. So when someone is in succession of you, you're not being replaced. It's carrying the banner. Keep going.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really love that.
The whole Starbucks thing, he said, just because you have tons of stores doesn't mean that you're successful. And remember, he talked about Starbucks getting away from their why.
Yeah,
and it was jacked.
But the thing that's so interesting is that because of their why, they wanted to be like your third location, like home, work, Starbucks. Like they had like a lingo for it. But then they talked about but what they did was when they took away the glass cups,
ceramic cups,
and they started giving you paper cups.
And he said,
it changed their why.
Yeah, but
because what does the paper cup say?
Cheap.
Well, it says to go.
To hurry up and go.
Go.
Because he said, we want you to come in, enjoy a cup of coffee, sit down. Like you're at home, right?
Yes.
A ceramic cup. And once they got too big, they go, here's a paper cup. And he used some lingo and he says, what makes you feel at home? a cheap paper cup that says "Hurry up,"
Yeah.
and so your
But-
why changed.
But
you
I'm
have
also going
change
to
with it.
say that, but with that though, is that Starbucks has still held on to that because people do go there, but it's a different. Their why did change.
They were okay changing their why.
That's
Right?
a good way to
And
say
that's
it.
what
They
I'm
were
saying.
okay
Because
changing their
they
why.
would still be successful
Mhm.
with thousands of stores if they still use ceramic cups because there would be a line to get in, and you just
Well,
have
I
to go.
wanted to say
That's just
my
who we are.
Starbucks still does use ceramic cups if you ask for them.
Yeah, but that's.
I mean, they just
yes,
do.
Whatever.
I mean,
I
like
don't
yeah,
know Starbucks.
yeah, they will. I don't like them because it doesn't keep my coffee as hot, so I prefer a paper cup.
But they want you to feel like home. But they also want you to hurry up and get out of the store.
Good gracious. Okay, we're
Oh,
going to
man.
section
I
6.
thought she was gonna cuss.
Moving on.
That's it.
Discover why.
Section 6, discover why. This is the end of the book. Last 2 chapters, chapter 13, the origins of why.
Yeah, so innovation is born out of their why, not an idea. How the why is so much bigger, which I thought that was so good. Innovation
Yeah.
is born out of the why, not an idea. Because I think so many times we think, oh, we have an idea, and that's where you get your why from. No, it's the innovation.
Yeah.
And,
Apple.
yes, the other thing, which he said this in another part of the book, how every organization has access to the same exact talent.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
no,
mean,
totally. Yep.
Everyone.
Yeah.
And so Apple has really set themselves apart, not because of the talent, but because of the why. Because they have done such a good job of holding on to the why, creating all of their systems, all of their everything that they do matches up with their why.
Yeah, because he said you can go in and see the same worker who supports Apple, loves Apple, use the word loves, and the customer or guest that walks in and loves Apple, and they are the same. I mean, it's the same personality. They go after the
Right.
why.
But I also think that it is like, I think like whether you work for, I don't even know, any Microsoft or
Mhm.
Dell or any, you know, there's 5 computer companies. They all have access to, Apple doesn't have smarter people.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's because they inspire those people to be
yes,
better.
because
And
of
that's
their
what you have to
why.
do. Yeah, and it's not one person.
I
Steve
thought-
Jobs did not say, "I'm gonna invent the iPod, the
Mm-mm.
desktop. I'm gonna do all."
No.
No, he just inspired people to go.
I
I
want to,
work for Apple. He's inspired me. Let me create something that
I
may
want to
change
do
the world.
something. Yeah, I want to do something that nobody's done.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Yeah.
change the world.
I love that he uses the arrow example. He says that the only way an arrow is going to work is that it has to have momentum, and that momentum has to be utilized. So when you pull an arrow back, 180 degrees back, all the way back, you can try and shoot the arrow, but if it doesn't have momentum and you're not properly using it right, it's not going to be used for its intended purpose. The key is pulling it back, and he said that is how we start going back. It is the only way to move forward, the only way to have momentum to go forward is, he said, we have to look back at what brought us here, the origins of why, and continue to look back and grasp why, and again, shoot the arrow. He says every company, group, organization with the ability to inspire starts with a person or small group of people who are inspired to do something bigger than themselves. Gaining clarity of why, ironically, is not the hard part. It is the discipline to trust one's gut, to stay true to one's purpose, cause, or belief. So if I stop right there, you're going to have a temptation to move past your why because you're being successful. But he's saying you got to stay true to who you are. Remaining completely in balance and authentic is the most difficult part. The few that are able to build a megaphone around their cause, and not just a company, are the ones who earn the ability to inspire. In doing so, they harness a power that few can even imagine. So if you stay true to who you are and you trust that, like trust the why,
For sure.
you're going to be one of the most, he says, powerful people to have a megaphone to change the world.
For sure. I love the quote by Henry Ford, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you what I thought Michael Jordan said that, but I really did.
What?
I feel like that somewhere along the way,
I used that quote somewhere on
Yeah.
my Twitter account like 7
Henry
years
Ford.
ago.
yeah. Oh wait,
I thought
Michael
Michael
Jordan was the 100. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I really feel like
You might
there's
wanna
Wayne
Google that
Gretzky.
before,
somewhere
I
in
think
it. Yeah,
that's
don't
Wayne
quote
Gretzky.
me.
That's Wayne Gretzky.
Okay, I'm just
That was
saying.
Michael Scott. Michael Scott said that off The Office.
Well, I'm telling you, we
Quoting
had
Wayne Gretzky.
like a poster or
yeah, of
something.
Michael
There-
Jordan.
yes,
He says something about
that's where it comes from.
I missed, or
It doesn't matter. I totally like.
I missed 100% of the shots I didn't take.
Yes, he's the.
And then he talks about failing all these times,
Yes,
but how
for sure.
successful he was.
You can't lose perspective. Run with your eyes open. Stay focused on the why.
Yeah, so if you have a bow and arrow and you're going to shoot somewhere, your eyes can't be closed. They have to be open. You have to look laser focused and say, this is where I'm going, and that's my why, regardless of what's going on.
When I think as a leader, it just reminds me to give permission to the people on my team to hold me. I know you don't like the word accountable, but to keep me focused on the why. Because I think, I've seen it on teams. You're doing something, and it's like just one thing shifts, and it may just be for a project or whatever it is, and before you know it,
You've done it 10 times.
and you're leaned over and you start focused on something else, and something you were gonna keep simple ends up being this big extravagant, project or whatever.
Yeah, and then you look
Because
up,
you forget the
or
why.
someone looks up on the team and goes, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
And then everybody's frustrated and wait, we're not supposed to be doing this. But if you're the leader and the owner or the leader or the manager and you're so focused on the details and not looking at the why, everybody's following your lead.
For sure. And sometimes it gets exciting. You're like, because you're going and you're making the what's are happening. You're making things happen. And it is very easy to get distracted by the what.
Yeah, I talked to a guy today that does all the bottling for every Buc-ee's in the country. The bottling of all anything that comes in a bottle. And he said today they called him and said, hey, we need 9 pallets, which is thousands just to one section. And then he goes to another and to another. And then we walked around his warehouse and he's showing, it's not just Buc-ee's, there's every single type of hot sauce and barbecue sauce that everyone does. He does them out of this small little place. And he talked about that he goes, I don't think you'll ever listen to this, but Mikey V, and they're hiring, by the way, but he said that he works with his wife and she knows how to run a business, but they both get so tempted when they're working together to look down at what's going on in front of them that they're not looking up and they're going, oh, we need a warehouse. Crap, we should have gone and looked at that place 2 or 3 weeks ago. But they were so entrenched in what was going on in front of them, and they do trust their people, but they were just so focused on, like you said, it gets fun. Man, we're doing this, we're knocking this out of the park, but you still got to look up and look
All of a
forward.
sudden you're like, uh-oh.
Last one, chapter 14, the new competition. If you follow your why, then others will follow you.
Man, I loved that.
Yeah, because it's bigger than you.
Loved that because he was like, if
It's
you're
bigger than you.
yes, one he said, I'm probably gonna butcher this, but he's like, if you're in competition with somebody else, nobody wants to get behind you.
Yeah.
But if you're in competition with yourself, everyone is gonna get
Did you
behind
not
you.
see my next
Did you?
quote? Will you
Okay.
read that?
When you compete with
Oh, wait.
everyone, you gotta tell the story.
I know, it's because a kid, there's
Yes.
130 runners or whatever, and I can't remember what his, Ben.
Ben,
got
Ben.
it. The gun started the racers, boom, shot. Everybody took off. Ben started last. Just like every race, Ben continues to fall. He gets hurt. They finish 32 or 22 minutes into the run, but Ben's gonna finish 42 minutes late every single time. But what happens is everybody ends up coming back and cheering for Ben. Ben is somebody who has CP, right? And why does he inspire so many people to come run with him after they're done? And he says, when you compete with everyone else, no one wants to help you. But when you compete with yourself, everyone wants to help you. And Ben
that.
is just starting this race going, I'm just competing with myself. I don't know any better. I just want to finish better than 42 minutes. And he's continuing to fight for
Yes,
himself.
and I'm like, but as a business, like, stop looking what other people are doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Focus on what your mission and your goal is. And in here he says all organizations start with why, but only the great ones keep their why year after year after year.
Yeah, and I think if we go back to the last book we did about the habit, the atomic habit, how Pat Riley would just ask his team to increase just get better 1% this week, 1% better.
1%,
And
yes.
so they're not competing with anyone else. They're trying to get themselves better. So if you think about your business, think about our business, think about yourself. Are you competing with others? If you are, then you're never going to get there. You got to go, how can I
No.
get better this week, better than I was last week?
So right after I had finished this and I read it, I saw a commercial for like a cell phone company, and they were comparing themselves and saying like, we're so much better than this one. We offer this and we're better than this. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to get behind you.
Yeah.
Like
You're
if your only why is to beat out your competitors,
Yeah. You're just using me to
yeah,
So
no.
there's manipulation all over
It's
again.
like,
So are you comparing yourself to others? What if you compete with yourself to be better than you were last month? I love that he said that. Just be better than last month.
well, and he talks about in here about how money is like a, how does he say it? That's like a value. I mean, it's a mile marker.
Yeah.
But what you have to do is hold on to your why. So you should be competing when you're with yourself. It's about, am I holding on to my why? Where is that showing up in my organization? Did that come into every decision that I made?
Yeah, because those mile markers are good to look at, but it's all
Yes.
about your why. Like, where does this drive? Yeah,
Mhm.
the mile markers are there, but where is this still driving me down?
Am
the
I
right
still
road?
am I
Yeah.
still sitting in the right seat? Is my why still in the
right
driver's seat?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's good. And I just put outdo yourself. Do you want to
For sure.
read the very last?
I do, and I'm so
paragraph?
glad that you put that in there because I
Did you
underlined
underline
it.
it?
I did. Imagine if every organization started with why. Decisions would be simpler, loyalties would be greater, trust would be common currency. If our leaders were diligent about starting with why, optimism would reign and innovation would thrive. I'll continue. As this book illustrates, there is a preference for this standard. No matter the size of the organization, no matter the industry, no matter the product or service, if we all take some responsibility to start with why and inspire others to do the same thing, then together we can change the world. And that's pretty inspiring.
That's cool. I felt like we needed to have like some music playing right
Dun,
there for
dun,
you.
dun.
Or
I underlined that. I was like, I reread that. Like, imagine if every organization started with why. There's so much. I feel like just read this last little part and just hold on
that's
to
the
that.
whole book.
Yeah, if you're stressed about decisions, start with why. Don't have good loyalty? Go back to why.
Yeah.
Trust is suffering on your team? Go back to why.
Yeah, and does your
I
team
mean,
know?
like-
Who knows? Like, are you
Yes.
the only one that knows the why?
Are we negative? Go back. Do you know your why? I mean, like, every single like leadership issue that we have discussed,
Yep.
according to Simon Sinek, go back to your why.
Go back to your why.
I may have to take a picture of that. There was something else I was going to
Post
take a
that,
picture of,
mother.
but post that.
That
Anyway,
was good.
that's just so good, so good. Okay,
Such a
so
good
what
book.
action steps do you have for
I
these
think
people?
for sure this week they need to. I mean, not even just this week, but we need to continue to take the bus test.
Yeah, for sure.
If you were to hit,
If you
get
were,
hit by a
yes,
bus,
yes. If
would success happen, or would what was the other? I mean, I'm thinking, would your why continue to go?
replacement. Would you have a replacement or do you have a successor?
Yeah, because replacement's going to change your why.
Yes,
A successor is going to go. I'm going
I'm
to carry
carrying
this
the
forward.
torch. So good.
So yeah, do you have a successor? If not, who can that be? How do you start inspiring people? Not just one person. Look within the company. Look within because if you go, man, I don't have anybody on my team because they're a bunch of losers. Well, guess who hired them? Yeah, take ownership in that. But if you don't have anybody on your team that you can
Well, and
raise
if you
up,
didn't hire
the
them,
one.
we're gonna retrain them.
yeah. But that's what I'm trying to get to. Is you're the reason they're on. You're the reason that they're on the team and they're staying there. So do something about it. Inspire someone.
Let's do it.
The other one I think is going back through the golden circle.
For sure.
Figure out your why, how, and what, and just start to write those down. I talked to somebody about that today. The how and the what were so easy to write down, and I'm going, that's not where we're starting though. Where's your why?
Well, and something else I thought about was not everybody may be a why person. You may be
Yeah.
a how or a what person on your team. And I think one of the things that's so important for you is to ask yourself, do I know the why? And how can I utilize the why or just like have this why show up in my how or in my
Yeah.
what? Like, how can I take the why and incorporate it into what I do best?
Yeah, and if you're a leader, I think one of the steps too, or an owner, is to go, who are my how people and who are my what
Yeah,
people?
for sure.
And you need to value those just as
Oh,
much as
yeah,
the
for
why.
sure.
Make sure they have the why. So yeah, man, that's a freaking amazing book.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't remember what books, do we pick out our books for next year or not? I can't
No, I think
remember.
we're gonna do that.
Okay,
but
good.
Not yet.
I was just thinking, I don't know.
I did tell people on YouTube to read Leading on Empty. It's not going to be a book we're covering. It's by Wayne Cordero. He's a few others. He is he was a former pastor, but I think he has great wisdom on what happens when you're leading on empty. This is the book that I said Jaden Farnsworth, redhead, stole
Not
from me.
Farnsworth anymore.
Oh, sheep. Jaden Bozeman. She's gonna kill me for that. That she took from me and kept in her card and she gave to somebody. But Leading on Empty, the reason I'm saying read that is if you're feeling deflated, if you're on the side of the road crying, as in like you're out of gas, you want to read this book because he has practical steps how to get out of like burnout. So it's a really good book. Lots of cool things coming, I think, for 2022. I know we've all talked in passing, whether it was me and you, or me and my wife going, I think we have some cool things coming up. In closing, there's a few things I want to tell you. We did do a lowdown every week in November, and it was highly successful. We heard a lot of good feedback. I already asked if we should just skip the month of December and start it back in January. We have enough content.
Yeah.
But we will probably, I don't
yeah.
know what we're doing yet with that
We'll
part.
talk about it later.
So the lowdown, be on the lookout for the lowdown. But then next week, our interviews start. Episode 40.
That's my snaps.
Episode 49. And guys, I just got to tell you, I'm excited because I can tell them now, right?
Yeah.
We will post a picture of who we're interviewing or who we interviewed. And Dina missed out on this one.
I chose to sit out on this one. I knew it was not the best thing. This was my boundaries. I knew that it wasn't the best thing for me.
For you.
For me.
He says some good things. I mean,
he does.
Really does.
He's a great guy. When you and him get together, it's just so much.
Yeah. Today, someone said to me today, they go, when the two of you guys get together, no one can get work done. And I was like, you don't even work with us. He goes, but I feel like there's just too much playing around. Right. And I said, no, there's playing around, but we're getting stuff done.
There's a lot of not getting anything done when you guys are
there's
together.
Things getting done. Anyways, and there's inspiration happening.
But some things are more important than tasks.
Inspiration.
Relationships, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, for
so
sure.
So next week, episode 49, our friend, former John the Common Denominator, Douchebag Evans, but now formerly known as,
he is now
known
yes.
as John Bang Bang Evans is going to be on the podcast. Amazing interview.
How long was that podcast?
I think it was a minute. Not a minute.
Okay.
You
say an hour? I'm like,
No, it really
was
wasn't that long.
An hour,
Okay.
5 minutes.
I can pull it up.
45 minutes, 55. But here's the thing.
Okay.
That's
good.
I will tell you that he's walked through the loss of his brother. He has walked through. He has two parents that are highly successful in the industry. That there's tons of people, but he's just different, and he has walked through some loss. He has some great wisdom on certain things, and he's funny as heck. So, yeah, I think that'll be next week. So make sure you listen to episode 49 next week. Well, we appreciate you guys supporting us. I feel like is what else is there? Am I missing something? I don't know why. I got all nervous.
All right, closing. Let's go.
All right, guys, remember. This for more. You're here to offer more. Don't ever give up, because every single one of us is made for more. Later. Did I forget a piece?
No,
I don't know why I got
A
all
lot of
nervous.
times we go to follow us on social media, leave us a review.
I think it was good.
Yeah.
Good to cut. YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Check it out. I love that guy. He released a new video today, by the way.